Good morning, everybody. Sam here, United People's TV. It's Monday morning. You're here. We're talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We're talking about everything that's happened on Sunday evening, Sunday night, and here on Monday morning with everything revolving around Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future. Will he be sacked as Manchester United's manager? That 2-0 defeat to City on Saturday was somehow an even bigger low than the 5-0 against Liverpool. Been plenty of calls. We've all realised that it's reached a point of no return. For me, it kind of reached a point of no return after the Liverpool game. And then we had the City game on top of that to compile it. What I'm going to do in this video is bring you bang up to date with everything that's being said by all the most reliable journalists out there, so you don't have to read it. So make sure you engage with this video. Make sure you drop your likes, whatever, subscribe. Please leave your comments and your opinions. I'm going to run through what David Ornstein has been saying from The Athletic, James Ducker from The Telegraph, Simon Stone from the BBC, Jamie Jackson from The Guardian, and we're going to be taking a look at reports from Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail. And he goes into slightly different detail, and that's more of like the dressing room situation. I don't really know whether there's any real facts and truths in that, but the fact of the matter is it's a very detailed and quite specific article, so you can't just completely dismiss it, even if it is the Daily Mail. But how are you feeling about Solskjaer? Let's rewind a couple of weeks, eh? After that Liverpool 5-0 game, we came here on Monday morning and we were like, I mean, he's got to be sacked, doesn't he? He has to go. And it reached that point where it was past the point of no return, and you didn't really know what was going on with Solskjaer. And all the reports came out that day that Manchester United really were thinking about sacking him. And then you had Richard Arnold cancelling all his meetings, holding an emergency meeting with Joel Glazer. Everything was moving in that direction, only for everything to have a U-turn completely the next day. On Tuesday, that's when Manchester United came out and supported Solskjaer. And what I'm going to do is run through, as I said, everything that all the major newspapers, outlets, and journalists are saying about Solskjaer right now. And I'll be honest, they're all saying the same thing, really. And that's the fact that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer still remains as Manchester United manager, and at the club, really, their stance hasn't changed. Ornstein here saying that Solskjaer's future remains in Joel Glazer's hands. Well, that's a really good start, isn't it? As long as it's in Joel Glazer's hands. Let's go down and see exactly what he said. As I said, I've highlighted the key points from all these articles. Don't say I don't do good things for you. Despite the growing speculation over Solskjaer's future, David Ornstein said, there remains no indication from the club hierarchy that a change is imminent. And as things stand, he will be in charge for United's next game against Watford. While there is always a tipping point in these situations, the signals that United executives feel this has arrived are yet to emerge. But if the team's form fails to pick up, then pressure on the decision makers will rise. Now, I swear to God, if you're looking for tipping points and you're telling me that losing 5-0 at home to Liverpool and being properly schooled by City 2-0, where you have more shots on your own goal than you do on City's goal, then you have in a game where you only have 4 touches of the ball in City's area. If they're not the tipping points, then the tipping point will not come because of the results. I'll tell you that much. Let's go down and see what else David had to say, and then I'll head to the comments and see what you're all saying, because it's going to be a busy one today. It appears a significant factor to the stance on Solskjaer is the lack of available credible options for the post if the former United and Norway striker is to be relieved of his duties. And this is something we've seen the entire way through. Antonio Conte was available. Manchester United decided not to go for him. That was a decision that the club made, a decision I semi-understood, but the decision that the club made. Go down here. There is a sense in the industry that United ideally want to get to at least next summer with the present setup and are reluctant to fire the 48-year-old while they are still in contention to qualify for the 2020-2023 Champions League. So what's your reaction to that in the comments? For me, number one, there's the sense I genuinely get from all these reports that are coming out is that there's not really been anything new said from Manchester United. It seems like a continuation of what was said last week. Now, I'm not saying that we should all expect huge news today, that there's going to be a massive shift in direction, but it doesn't really feel like there's anything new in these reports from David Ornstein, from everybody, really. They're all kind of reiterating what was said last week. You can look at that 2 ways. You can look at that as, yes, Sam, that's because nothing's changed from last week. Or you can look at that as because nothing's really been discussed properly from inside the club until now, until Monday. They've taken the weekend to think about it. Because, look, you look at what's going on in the world of football right now. And in the last couple of weeks, I did a tweet yesterday. You've got Daniel Farke being sacked by Norwich City. You've got Steve Bruce being sacked by Newcastle. You've got Nuno Espirito Santo being sacked by Tottenham Hotspur. You've got Ronald Koeman being sacked by Barcelona. There have been quite a big amount of movement inside it. And then you've got Dean Smith, I think it was yesterday, at Aston Villa. You've got a serious amount of sackings, top-level sackings in the Premier League and La Liga happening right now. And it just only goes to further scrutinise, further put pressure on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the situation that Manchester United are in. And if you look at the rhetoric, the language that's being used by the journalists, everyone at this point is like, everyone's like bewildered. Everyone's like, what's going on? Like, seriously, what is going? Everyone's scratching their heads. No one really understands what Manchester United are doing. And it's kind of reached that point and that stage. And that's the situation we're in, that all of us right now are here going, mate, what is the point? What is the point in just keeping this going? And at this stage, you know by now what I feel about it. I think it's pure stubbornness. I think it's pure pride. I think it's down to Ed Woodward still having far too much control over a decision at a club where he's going to be leaving in the next 6 weeks. And it's all a bit of a mess. But that's what David Ornstein has said. I'm going to head down to the comments, get a few of your opinions on here, and then we'll head over and see what James Ducker had to say. Sedi, I can see you've joined as a member. Something I suppose I'll mention now, seeing as you joined as a member. Every single week here on United People's TV, even during the international break, the whole way up to Christmas, I'm giving one of these away every single week. It's my way of giving back to the channel, giving back to the community that you're all helping me build. Ronaldo 7 shirts, one every single week, is being given away here on Facebook and YouTube. So if you want to be involved in that, you join on YouTube like Sedi did there, become a member, hit the join button down below. Or if you're on Facebook, there's a little support now button. Hit that too. I'd love to have you on board. Genuinely, the community's, it's a nice place to be. Right now, it's good to speak to like-minded Reds about everything that's going on, because if you look, Manchester United as a club, we're running ourselves into the ground, really, aren't we? The way we're acting with Solskjaer is it's schoolboy. It's not how, even if, and as I said, this whole, I don't want any of this situation to become toxic. I don't want any of this situation to become abusive towards Solskjaer. It's simply a man who is out of his depth in a job that he has tried his hardest to do, and he's just not capable of doing it. Relieve him of his duties, sack him. The club need to do what is responsible for both Solskjaer and for Manchester United. But instead, they're hanging him out to dry because they don't know where to turn next, because they're so stuck in their pride. And I said this in my stream on Sunday, I believe. I said, look, I was such a huge supporter of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and have been a huge supporter of Solskjaer for so long. And I was on here on United People's TV doing videos, getting into arguments with everybody, really trying to drum the support up and say, no, don't jump off the ship too early. And I came off the ship. I jumped overboard after Liverpool. So I'm not going to change my stance, but you're allowed to change your opinion, right? That's what I keep saying to people. Don't have a go at people if they were supporting Solskjaer and they've now decided that they're not. Like, you're not a better United fan because you said Ollie out first. It's a fucking weird argument. So these are the sorts of arguments and civil wars that you don't need to have as a fan base. We need to try and stay as connected as possible. Chris, good morning to you, buddy. You're saying, how many more defeats will it take before the board take action? Surely we don't see ourselves beating Arsenal, Chelsea, Leicester, West Ham. What are they seeing / expecting that we are not? I don't think it's got anything to do with the results, Chris. It's exactly what I said with the 3 games after Liverpool. Spurs, Atalanta and City. I don't think the results of those games ultimately affected Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future, because if results were going to affect it, it was going to happen after that Liverpool game. And that's my own opinion. You know, and I've seen nothing here to suggest that there's going to be anything different than that. So, congratulations, buddy. You've entered. Nice to have you on board as a member. And Grim Surge, nice to have you on board too, sir. If both of you, if you check out the YouTube community tab, there's a link to the private WhatsApp group in there for members only. And if you're on Facebook, go into the private supporters group in there. I'd love to have all of you on board and inside that group. Gordon, good morning to you, buddy. You're saying this is so frustrating and depressing. I mean, it is. It really is. It really goddamn is. Was it Aston Villa that fired their manager without an alternative in place? There must be interim options. Gordon, if you just look at what David Ornstein has... Let me just pull it up, actually. This is what David Ornstein has just tweeted about Norwich City, about what's going on at Norwich City. In fact, I'll pull my tweet because I responded to it on Twitter. This is what I said. And look, when we as Manchester United fans have to look at what Norwich City are doing and going, why aren't we doing that? This shouldn't happen. But this is what he said. So Ornstein has said that Norwich City's manager search is down to 2 candidates, both modern forward-thinking coaches. Talks began on Sunday. Process should be completed within a week. An appointment expected in time for Southampton on the 20th of November. And this was my response to it. Said Norwich City are out here sacking Farke because the form was unsustainable for what they wanted to achieve, immediately holding talks with new managers and pushing it through. Meanwhile, United are dragging their heels out of what feels like pure stubbornness and an utter lack of planning. And that's the situation we've got now. We're sitting watching other clubs. Dean Smith going from Villa, and Dean Smith has done such a great job at Villa, bringing them up to the Premier League from the Championship, helping them survive the Championship. Everything that happened, and now they've moved him on because it's just not working for them. They've thanked Dean Smith for everything he's done and the good stuff he's done, and he's done loads of good stuff. He'll leave with great memories. The Villa fans will have great memories of Dean Smith, and I want that to be what Solskjaer has. But the longer this goes on, the more that United are damaging that legacy. The more that Solskjaer is damaging that legacy that he could have and should have left behind. And that hurts me. That as I said, they're hanging him out to dry. Ayan saying, everybody is shouting Ollie out, but my major concern is the Glazers. If they're here for the next 10 situations, the same thing will arise. They are the virus. We all know that. We all know that. And the Glazers aren't going anywhere anytime soon. That's the reality, right? The Glazers will only sell Manchester United when they want to sell Manchester United. It won't be a case of us forcing him out. And I'd love to say that we could as a fan base, and maybe I'm being slightly negative when I'm saying that, because obviously we got the game against Liverpool postponed. So there is fan power. Of course, there's fan power. But the Glazers are the Glazers, man. And ultimately, as you can see by the title of this video, it lies on Joel Glazer's shoulders. Joel Glazer he's not the only Glazer involved in Manchester United, but he's the most directly involved, far more than Avram, far more than any of the other Glazer siblings. It's Joel Glazer who really speaks with Ed Woodward, who speaks with Richard Arnold and Manchester United. He's the one who is closest to the club. So the decision lies on him. Now, as I said, I'm going to continue going into all the reports. We're going to move on to James Ducker from the Telegraph next. But everything here is all pointing in the same direction. And that is that Manchester United right now are not thinking of doing anything. Let me go down to the comments here and see what you are saying, because there's plenty of comments. ND, you're saying journalists should be ashamed of posting stuff like this, trying to get the man sacked. Ollie has a contract and he's doing a fantastic job. That's some top tier trolling there, my friend. And this is something I have to say something about. A man who loves the club will resign. Ollie has that option. I swear to God, that is one of the worst opinions that I've seen about anything here with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Anybody genuinely saying, Solskjaer is part of the problem. Solskjaer can resign. You're goddamn kidding yourself, really. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in his dream job. He's not walking away from it, and neither should he. He earned that new contract. Well, he didn't earn that new contract. I think that new contract was a bit weird, if I'm being completely honest, in the summer. But do not try and put this on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's shoulders. This is down to the board and the Glazers not sacking him, not Solskjaer walking away, man. Don't try and scapegoat him from that. It's a really, really odd thing to say. Solskjaer's not resigning. Solskjaer shouldn't resign. It shouldn't be down to him. It's not his decision. He's in this situation where he's backing himself. He's like, you know what? I can still do it. I can still do it. But because he's down the ground, he can't really take a step back. He's not going to shoot himself. Come on, people. Don't have that opinion. It's an odd one. You wouldn't do it. If you were in a position, your dream job, and you knew that you were failing at it, what would you do? You go, you know what, James? Your boss is called James. James, you know what? I'm just not good enough at this job. I love it. It's my dream job. But for the interest of the business, I'm going to walk away because I know you won't sack me and therefore give me the payout. So I'm going to save you all those millions and I'm just going to walk away. You have a great day. You're never going to do it. It's a completely unrealistic expectation. Hamza, welcome aboard, sir. Nice to see you there. So honestly, I think that is one of the most baffling things I can see is anybody trying to suggest that Solskjaer should be walking away from this. He's not the problem. He is not the problem. It is the Glazers not acting. That is the problem. So don't try and point the fingers at Solskjaer for not resigning. All right, that's my take on it. It's my take. You might disagree with that, but I think it's mad, absolute madness to even suggest that Solskjaer should be the one walking away from this. It should be the one. It should be the club sacking him. Michael, what are you saying? What are you saying, Sam? That Ollie's not good enough, but we should bring a smile and beg him to save our emotion? No, I'm saying Ole is not good enough, but it's down to the club to sack him. They gave him the contract. Sack him. It's not down. It's not down to Solskjaer resigning. I can see plenty of people speaking here in the comments about who could we get in. Now, if you didn't watch it, I did a video yesterday on Ralf Rangnick. I looked at all the reports coming out, the full story, look at it. And I'll be honest, it was quite an interesting bit of research to do. And I hope you found it quite an interesting video. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you check that video out. And I've also got a little clip that I'm going to put in this video after I read these next couple of comments out. If Ollie wasn't a Man United player, he would have resigned. Giving up is not enough. Give over, man. Solskjaer's not going to resign. Get it out of your head, seriously. What do you think about Tyson Fury's comments about the players? Says Jason. If you haven't watched that video, he popped that out. Mate, Tyson Fury. I properly hated him a few years ago when he was like a homophobic. He was the comments that he would make would just be like really delusional comments. And he's probably come back from the brink and showed that you can come from a very dark place and become an inspiration and a role model for so many other people. So big congratulations to Tyson Fury for doing that. I still hope he has a fight at Old Trafford. And yeah, I wouldn't mind getting him in that dressing room with Patrice Evra, with Roy Keane. We need something. We need something to change. But look, I won't show you I'll save the Ralf Rangnick clip for a little bit later. Let's go in and let's dive into these reports a little bit more so we can get a full understanding of exactly what's happening this morning. Look, thank you very much for all joining in this morning. Look, please drop a like on the video and subscribe. I'd like you all to subscribe and stick here and become part of the community. But look, let's talk about what James Ducker had to say. As I said, James Ducker is an extremely reliable journalist when it comes to Manchester United. And this is what he's had to say about the whole situation that's unfolding at the club. He said, players are going backwards. Confidence is... Let me zoom in and make sure you can read that. Players going backwards, confidence shattered, fault lines widening, and a strategic black hole in a team spiraling under a manager who no longer inspires trust. There is none of the toxicity that marked the end of the Jose Mourinho's regime, but the ship is still going down, and it is a pitiful sight. It is a pitiful... Right, that's the only way to describe Manchester United right now. It was like... what Man City did against us in that game was take pity on us, properly take pity. I don't know why they did. I wouldn't want Manchester United to do that to City, reverse the situation. I want us to pump them 7-8-0, like compound the misery. That's what I want United to do. But City were happy with a 2-0, just playing around. 753 passes I think they completed, which might have been one of the most ever. Look, pity. Pity is what happened in that second half between United and City. Let's go down and see what else James Ducker had to say here. He said the players are crumbling. He points towards Shaw, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Fred, McTominay, Fernandes. Talks about the lack of form that really is sort of haunting a lot of these players. And it absolutely is haunting. And let's go down here. It says, yet United are more convinced than ever they were on the right track, to quote Woodward, who responded by handing Solskjaer a new 3-year contract and having hurtled almost blindly into this brick wall, seems unsure where to go next. And honestly, this really is the core of why Solskjaer is not sacked. It's got nothing to do with form. It's got nothing to do with the players. It's got nothing to do with dressing room unrest or anything. And it has everything to do with the fact that Woodward and the Glazers have made a decision to give Solskjaer a new 3-year contract in July. And by them admitting in November that they made a mistake, they damaged their own ego. They hurt their own pride. And they're letting that pride get in the way of what is a very now clear and decisive action that needs to be taken by the club. But by doing that, they admit defeat. And as I said, I reversed that and I look at myself and I said, look, I previously backed Solskjaer, and I did it and I argued with people and I tried to keep people in his corner to support him, right? But my opinion and my stance changed because the facts in front of me changed, and circumstances and context change your opinion. That's what happens. It goes to show that you're like a critical thinker. I think I said this before. There's nothing wrong with changing opinions, ladies and gentlemen. So don't let anybody in life tell you that it's a bad thing. Because if you change your opinion, it means that you've looked at evidence in front of you and it's changed it. But what Woodward is doing is just ignoring that, blindly ignoring that and saying, no, I was right. Me. I was right. I bet oh, Jesus Christ. Woodward get that's the situation that for me is at the core of why Solskjaer has not been sacked. And it's not really got anything to do with the results anymore. James Ducker goes on to say, talks about the shortage of attainable alternatives, but makes the point there of when does the timing ever seem right for Manchester United? We could have had Pochettino, but we didn't go for him. We could have had Tuchel, but we didn't go for him. If you're looking over the years, we could have had Klopp, we could have had Guardiola, we could have had Conte, we could have loads of managers, but we didn't go for them. Here, it is also worth asking why United now seem fearful of appointing a demanding manager. And it's what I've just said there. It goes down to the board. It goes down to Woodward. It's more about the board and the board's ego at this point than it is about the results and the football. We are being driven here by some people who are only out for themselves. I've forgotten what the word is for some reason. They're just out for themselves. And because of that, the obvious footballing decisions that need to happen for the benefit of our football club are not happening. That's why it's not happening. There's a couple of comments here. I'll read these out. Gordon, didn't the players go to the board to get rid of the Leicester City manager a few years ago? If our players are behind Ollie, why are they doing that? Because, Gordon, that really would be a very toxic situation. And the players, while they might not support Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a coach now, they clearly will have a real affection with him when it comes to on a not a friendly basis, but on a human basis. They won't do something like that. They won't go behind his board. I think they would probably speak to him about it rather than going behind his back to the board in that sense. I wouldn't want to see Manchester United do that. I'm so frustrated with Ollie, says Nick. Good morning to you, buddy. Said, if not only for picking his favourites and his stubbornness, he can literally change his fortunes overnight, but he's too stubborn. Yeah, maybe. I'll be honest. I think Solskjaer has been far too stubborn. We talked about it. He's been stubborn with McTominay, with Fred, with Maguire for sure, with Shaw as well, with players out of form. And the Rashford situation, I'm not sure if you saw the reports. Very, very odd, man. Rashford played 30 minutes against City there, and he hadn't trained for 2 days. He'd been missing because of the flu. Rashford was not fit, nowhere near fit. And he still decided to play Rashford there instead of Sancho. 73 million signing sitting on the bench. Odd situation. And what you're saying, good morning, buddy. To be honest, I've begun to accept this is now Manchester United. I always feared it when the Glazers took over. Now I'm starting to be resigned to it. It hurts, but what can we do? I don't know what we can do. All we can do is, I suppose, show our discontent. We've tried protest. That didn't get rid of them because, as I said, they're making too much money. The fact that I think Joel Glazers took out like over 100 million in terms of selling shares. That can only be a good thing. But ultimately, they are still in control and maintain power at Manchester United. Let's go straight back in. Let's continue with what the stories are this morning. And we're finishing here on what James Ducker has to say before we move on to the BBC as well. But what is that best in class? So if that is what the best in class in any walk of life do. This is a very, very good point that I liked from James Ducker that I really do feel. They drive higher standards and are unafraid to put noses out of joint when needed for the greater good. But being difficult at times does not mean they cannot manage up and down, that they scorch anything and everything in their path. United seemed irrationally scarred by the Mourinho years. And that's because in reality, Van Gaal was to a certain degree as well. Van Gaal, if you go from Fergie to Moyes, that was basically going from the man in total control. And Moyes walked in. By the way, Moyes beating Liverpool. Fair play to him. Moyes has got over what happened at United, and he's doing a great job at West Ham. I have to credit him, but nobody even link him with the job, or I might throw up in my mouth. Van Gaal was the first sort of move towards an authoritarian presence at Manchester United in terms of a managerial role. Somebody who was experienced, had been at many clubs, had been at super clubs. He knew how to deal with boards, and he sort of semi-clashed, and obviously Woodward sacked him behind his back, and that whole situation was ugly. Mourinho, even more so. He's an autonomous manager, and he clashed with the board. And the board had to relinquish some power by giving power to Mourinho. And that's what it means. It's the power struggle inside the club. Egotistical. People out for Woodward, Arnold, Glazers out to protect their self first. They're more important than Manchester United. Fergie was always a man who said no player is more important than Manchester United. No man is more important than Manchester United inside the board level. But that's not what's happened. That's not what's happening. Simple as that. Go down here. We decry the absence of loyalty in football, but blind faith in its own way can be as corrosive as a hire and fire mentality. And Old Trafford has become a cozy club. And as Ant said there, this is the Glazer legacy. Dismal appointments and the death of ambition, where fourth is the new first and the promise of a brave new world never materializes. I mean, that really is a very powerful and accurate article from James. And that paragraph there in particular is a bit, we know it's the truth. Fourth is the new first. We've made bad appointments. We've just made bad appointments. I would not call Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a bad appointment. And anybody who's trying to, honestly, I swear to God, anybody who's trying to switch the narrative and trying to paint Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a shit manager and has been absolutely shit for United the whole way through. Stop lying and stop trying to spread negativity. It is not the truth. It really is not. Go back to Mourinho, man. Whatever fan does that and feels that, you deserve Mourinho. You deserve that toxic environment. Go and enjoy it. Thrive in it. You don't deserve that, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer overall has taken Manchester United forward. And this frustration that we have now, this feeling that we've got a squad now who can compete. Yeah, because Mourinho has not built it. Solskjaer has built it, all right? And I'll keep saying that. It's a very, very annoying thing. Tony, you're saying Ollie's done a great job. We must appreciate everything he's done, but he's mentally maxed out. The Glazers don't have any idea what to do at this time. And my issue with these professional players is not showing up to play. Tony, you're spot on there. He has done, I would say, a good to great job. And the problem here is what we're seeing with this unraveling is that great job is starting to get peeled away. And people are only going to start having bad memories of it. He is mentally maxed out. He's reached his capacity. We know that as fans. Everybody can see that as fans. But the club will not make that decision because they don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn. I'm going to speak about Ralf Rangnick, and I'll show you the little clip I've got coming up here. But whether it's him, whether it's another interim manager, whether it's Conte, it wasn't Conte, whether it's Ten Hag, but you can only get him in the summer, whether it's Pochettino, he's in a job at PSG. United don't know what to do. And therefore, we're stuck in the mud. We're there. We're in a coach. We're in the mud. We're trying to pull out. Can't. Wheels are just spinning. Trying to reverse, you can't. The wheels are just spinning. We're getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's what we're doing. And that's the situation we are in. The Dub, good morning to you, buddy. You say, do you think we will eventually need to protest the Glazers again to change? So not outrightly protesting Ole? It feels like the only way. No, I don't think that a protest in that sense will come and serve to remove Solskjaer without it looking and feeling like all the Manchester United fans are protesting against Solskjaer. And that won't happen. That will not happen. As I said, that's more towards abuse of Solskjaer than anything else. So I don't think that will happen. But look, if as I said, I did a video yesterday on Ralf Rangnick. And if you haven't seen it, I took a look at all the reports that came out about him. And I took a look at his whole career, what he's done, what he said about United and the job back in 2019. And this clip I'm going to show you now is a bit of an insight into the sort of coach that he is. So this is the clip.
The idea needs to be in your brains yourself first. In order to be able to educate, to teach, to develop your own team, you need to make sure, what kind of football do I want to play? And this is what all the top coaches in Europe have in common. And the great thing, for me, the exciting thing is to watch those different kind of, I mean, if you see, even without glasses, Atletico Madrid play, not knowing, maybe you come from a different planet and you see them play. From the very first minute, you realize this is Diego Simeone football. This is Thomas Tuchel football. This is Jurgen Klopp football. This is whatsoever football. And this is what it's all about. In my opinion, this is one of the major jobs of football coaches, to make this transformation happen.
So Ralf there sort of giving a little bit of an insight into how he sees coaching and the importance of implementing that style, and yeah, even taking your glasses off and you can see that a certain manager is playing in a certain way. And for a lot of United fans, that's a key aspect of why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has failed ultimately with the football we're playing, because from one game to another, whether it's 3-5-2, 4-2-3-1, inside a game, first half, second half, you don't really know the style that United are playing with, and that's 3 years into it, right? So that Ralf video was very good. I was very happy with that one. So if you haven't watched it, it'll give you a bit of insight into it. And I'm also going to try and do a video today, actually taking more of a look at the actual formations and tactics that he could use. Because look, even if I'm hearing from Manchester United, that Solskjaer is safe, he's not going to be sacked, he might be in charge for Watford, I don't fully believe that. I don't think that's the future of Manchester United. And I will do some planning. Even if United won't do some planning, doesn't mean that we can't have these conversations now. As I said, I think it will be irresponsible of me at this stage with United People's TV if I wasn't looking there. Because if I can't plan, how can I expect Manchester United to plan going forward? But look, let's continue going on here. So we've taken a look at what David Ornstein had to say. We've taken a look at James Ducker. Now let's take a look at Simon Stone and his reports from the BBC. And as I said, we're all looking in the same direction. Despite the comprehensive defeats, this is what Simon Stone is saying, despite the comprehensive defeats against their biggest rivals and a run of form that has seen them collect just 4 points from 18, that's relegation form, man. There is still no indication from Old Trafford that a change is going to take place. It will be a brave, but however, it will be a brave state it would be brave, to state definitively that Solskjaer was safe, given international breaks are notoriously a time when managers are sacked. But to the incredulity and bewilderment of many observers, he could well survive. And that's what I was explaining earlier in the video. People now in the industry, fans of other clubs, everybody looking at it can go, everyone's bewildered. No one really truly understands why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has not been sacked as Manchester United manager. It's really, really odd. That's why we're all bewildered. As fans, we are all bewildered, right? Because we're seeing a man who is so out of his depth. As was said in the comment earlier, he's mentally maxed out. He's maxed out. His capacity has been reached as Manchester United manager. So the obvious decision is simply to remove him, replace him, and bring him back in. Not bring him back in, but bring someone else in. But instead, we're watching a man, as I said, publicly melting, publicly just fading away. And it's hurting me to watch it. I don't want to see it. I want Manchester United to relieve Solskjaer. Don't put him in this situation, but they're not doing a thing. And we quickly move on here and we look at what Jamie Jackson from The Guardian had to say. And again, everybody saying the same thing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer expects to be in charge against Watford. The Guardian understands there was no indication from Joel Glazer in the hours immediately after the match that Solskjaer would be removed. So exact same thing there. But as I said, from everything I can see in all these reports, from Ornstein, from Ducker, from Stone, and from Jamie Jackson in The Athletic, the BBC, The Telegraph, The Guardian, all very established outlets, I'm not really seeing much new in terms of this morning. It doesn't really feel like the club has said anything today. So I'm going to be very interested to see if anything happens over the course of the next 24 hours. What we're seeing here is basically a repetition of what was said last week. No real movement forward in anything. Not like a doubling down. We haven't heard like a proper doubling down from Manchester United saying, no, we're still supporting Solskjaer. It's basically repeating the same things that we heard last week. But as much as I'm looking at all of these stories here from all these established journalists, as I said, there was an article that came out from the Daily Mail, from Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail, that we have to take a look at because you can't just ignore it. As I said, it's the Daily Mail, so you kind of have to take it with a pinch of salt. But at the same time, there's too much specificity. Yeah, there are too many specifics inside this article for it to all be made up, in my opinion, anyway. Jason, you're saying we need to work the problem. The easiest solution as far as the Glazers is concerned to get a new manager. So Alex had his challenges as well. Fergie had his challenges. Of course he did. But the whole situation, football's changed, man. And that's a big thing about all of this. And it's a big thing about why United fans are still, this whole situation with Conte and everything that developed. Football has changed massively, right? And the immediacy of it has changed massively. The turnover of managers, has changed massively. And Manchester United forced that immediacy onto the club by re-signing Ronaldo. If we hadn't assigned Cristiano Ronaldo, it would have been a bit different right now, but we did. So there is a bigger immediacy on the need to stay in contention. And we're still only, 5 points off top 4, 9 points off top. And we've been playing 4 points from 18 games. And we're still only 5 points off top 4. This season's not done in any way, shape or form. And maybe that's the reason why Solskjaer's still in the job, right? Because we know that the Glazers, top 4 is the new first. That's what they're chasing. But at the same time, we spent money in the summer to build on that. We finished second last year, signed Varane, Sancho and Ronaldo. For the first year, we actually broke that Glazer strategy and that repetition of not investing, having finished in the top 4. So we did invest this year. So maybe this is a year that we should have gone above it. And now we haven't. And now the Glazers are digging their heels in. And so is Ed Woodward. Chris, you're saying, I wonder if there's a clause in on his contract that says he'll be given 3 years regardless of what happens. Not a chance in the world that he has that contract. No clause like that would ever exist in a manager's contract. Gordon, what do you think about Ronaldo leading the players' revolt? Express sent you some DMs on Twitter. I hope you find some time to reply. I'll definitely take a look at those, Gordon, buddy. Thank you very much. But look, yeah, we're talking about the revolt. This is what I'm going to run through now, buddy. So as I said, this is coming from Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail. Man United are hit by revolt against Ollie. Fernandes feels he's not getting enough direction from Solskjaer. Ronaldo is alarmed by the drop in standards, and players sympathise with Van der Beek. We scroll down, we see what the article says. United's plans to keep Solskjaer in charge until the season have been thrown into disarray by the calamitous performances against City and against Liverpool. Let's see what else is inside the article. We scroll down. Sportsmail can also reveal Bruno Fernandes is among the senior players who feel they are not getting enough direction from Solskjaer and his coaching staff. Now, if we're looking at how Bruno Fernandes has been playing recently, he has been playing a little bit like a headless chicken, eh? He's been pressing and then getting angry when other players aren't pressing. He's been kicking the ball long and then angry when the ball gets lost. Bruno Fernandes is trying his hardest to drag everyone up to his level, but it's impossible for an individual to do that in the wave of the momentum going against the other. He's like a salmon swimming upstream, trying to drag all the other 11, trying to drag his whole team behind him. And he can't do that right now. So, yeah, I would say Bruno Fernandes is cutting a very, very frustrated figure. Nick, you're saying he's competing with the best managers in the world. There's no shame in admitting that Ollie isn't at that level yet. He's done very well here, given his CV. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Solskjaer overall has done so much benefit to Manchester United in terms of the structure he's going to leave behind. But the longer this goes on now, and the longer this atmosphere exists, and this discontent towards him as a manager, then that hard work is starting to get sort of chipping away. And that's what's annoying me. That's why I said it's frustrating. That's why I'm frustrated about what the Glazers are doing with their indecision. Solskjaer is the one that ultimately is suffering from the most, and Manchester United, of course. Going back to the article from the Daily Mail saying Cristiano Ronaldo is alarmed at the drop in standards at United since he left the club 12 years ago. Well, my word. That was the first derby. That's what I said. I think I said it in my pre-match show. That was the first Manchester derby that he's played in 12 years. And 12 years ago, he left and it was like, I don't know, was it Stephen Ireland, Ilano, Jesus, Richard Dunn, the sort of players that City had back in those days. And then he's come back and it was like, what's going on here? Madness. Dan, I'm not surprised that he's alarmed because I think we're all alarmed. The players sympathise with Donny van der Beek over the way he has been treated after fans also offered the out-of-favour Dutchman their support when he came on against City. And Rashford played almost half an hour in the derby despite missing training for 2 days. Madness. As I said, that article there depends whether you want to take it with a pinch of salt because it is the Daily Mail, but it's really quite specific and quite detailed article, so I can't just put it all out as guff, in my opinion. Rory, you disagree, saying what structure is he leaving behind? I keep hearing this, but what is he leaving behind except half our squad wanting to leave? Mate, in terms of what Solskjaer is leaving behind, as I said before, I'm going to do a really nice, long video. No, a tribute is a kind of a bad way to describe it. But once this is all said and done, once the dust has settled, I'm going to do a video detailing every single point about what Solskjaer has done well that I don't want people to forget once he has left. I'm going to leave it to that. This is not the time now to start coming out with, Solskjaer's done this, Solskjaer's done that, because Solskjaer is going to be sacked. That's the story at the moment. But once that dust has settled, you're damn right that I'm going to do that video showing people exactly what Solskjaer has done. Allah, you left a super chat, buddy, but you didn't leave a comment. Try and leave another comment and I'll reply to that one. Martin, you're saying you've made 3 or 4 videos basically saying the Glazers need to make a decision about Ollie. This is the first one that's titled that. You think Ollie should be sacked. It's a boring story now. Martin, okay, so it's boring. So, I mean, it is the story. Solskjaer has not been sacked. And Solskjaer is still our manager. And until that story changes, that is the talking point around Manchester United. What am I supposed to do? Completely ignore it? No, I don't think I'll do that. I do not think I'll do that. Let's see if anything else has come on whilst we've been live and talking about Solskjaer and whether anything else has been said. No. We've got a couple of bits here from the Manchester Evening News. Let me see what they're saying. Manchester United have passed on the chance to appoint Antonio Conte as their new manager before he took charge of Spurs, whilst Leicester manager Brendan Rodgers is well regarded. Now, what's your opinion on the Brendan Rodgers rumours? There you go. That's a conversation we can have. Brendan Rodgers is being linked with a job at Manchester United. I did a really short video on it last night on Facebook. You can check that out, a little 3-minute video. But in my opinion, Brendan Rodgers, I can see why he would be on some sort of list. I think he's a much better manager now at Leicester than he was at Liverpool. I think he's much better manager than he was at Celtic. I think he's improved massively. But I don't think he's the manager that's going to come and take this squad and elevate it to the elite level we need. He would be the sort of manager that would come into this squad and sort of maintain it. Get us towards that top 4, probably get us inside the top 4, but probably ultimately we would fail with him in charge. Apex, you're saying, like Sam, but he is covering for someone that is incompetent and running a company into the ground. Now the employees can't. I'm not covering for him, Apex. Okay, I'll say it for you slowly. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should be sacked as Manchester United manager. Is that me covering for Solskjaer? It's not. He should be sacked. And that's been the case since Liverpool. He hasn't been sacked. Is that his fault? No. It's down to the board not having a plan. It's down to the Glazers not being decisive. That's what I'm defending. Not defending. That's what I'm pointing out. Go up here and see. Media Centre, you're saying Rodgers is the Irish Moyes. And Rory, you're saying, I think it'll be a disaster. He's miles better than Ollie, but the fans won't have anywhere near the same level of patience as they had with Ollie. And that's a very, very good point from Rory there that we all have to consider. Is whoever comes in next is going to come into an atmosphere that doesn't really have patience. There's going to be a very finite amount of patience. It's going to be, you're going to reach crises much quicker, whoever comes in and replaces. And maybe that's why the concept of getting an interim manager like someone like Ralph Rangnick ahead of a summer where you can maybe get someone like Erik ten Hag, and he can come into a new season, a new set of players and a new squad rather than coming into mid-season, because this mid-season is a tough situation to come into, man. Any manager who comes in mid-season, Conte's taken it at Spurs and he's got a 0-0 draw with 0 shots on target in their first game. It's not going to be easy there for Conte at all. And he's a man who's built a reputation on winning and winning quickly. And now he's got to do it at Spurs, which is going to be very tough. But whoever comes in next, whether it's an interim manager, whether it's someone who comes in immediately on a permit, on like a 2-year contract, it's tough. And the patience, because of how Manchester United fans are feeling now, the new manager's going to absorb some of that lack of patience straight into his job straight away. Ali, there you go, buddy. I can see you now. Us United fans are spoilt. Only 3 managers in our history have won the league. This has been the cycle since our founding. We need the right manager. We do need the right manager. And that is particularly why Manchester United haven't made a decision, because that's what they're saying at board level, saying we do need the right manager. And I don't know who it is, but it's the case now of Man United since Fergie, whether it's Moyes, whether it's Van Gaal, whether it's Mourinho, whether it's Solskjaer, we have never gone out and got the best. We haven't. Van Gaal, old and experienced, past his best. Mourinho, old and experienced, past his best. Moyes, the experiment post-Fergie. Can he just be another Fergie? Well, no, he can't. Solskjaer, we've done everything else. Let's try an ex-legend and see what happens. And it probably worked the best out of all of them. But we've never gone out and got the best. We've not gone out. We've missed out on Poch, Klopp, Guardiola, Conte, Tuchel, all these managers. Whoever comes in next needs to be the best. And that's why maybe the decision's being delayed. But in my opinion, I know Erik ten Hag won't come during the season, but he did say that he'll leave the club for an exceptional offer. Mate, United go in with an exceptional offer, man. If we're willing to spend and waste that much player on money, money on players, eventually got it out. Why not go and do that with a manager who could be so influential and a big difference to United? Gordon, do you think if we just won the league or the Champions League just once, that the Glazers would see the financial windfall and change how they run the club? I would say probably not, Gordon. And I would say that because we have won the Premier League under the Glazers. We have won the Champions League under the Glazers. Actually, no, sorry, not under the Glazers. Actually, no, yeah. They came in 2005. We won in 2008. And it hasn't really changed anything, has it? Now, yeah, that's probably the thing that frustrates so many people so much about the Glazers is if you are more successful, you will make more money. Simple as that. If you look at Liverpool's revenue over the last 5-6 years and how it's just gone woof, it's not because all of a sudden people love Liverpool. It's because all of a sudden Liverpool are successful winning the Premier League and the Champions League, and their revenues go up because of it. That's what frustrates a lot of people. The Dub, you're saying, I think the frustrations that you are seeing from some of the fans is we know he should be sacked, and the Glazers won't do it. But what's next from us? Yeah, we're all stuck in, mate, we're stuck in the mud. We're stuck in this situation where, as I said, we can't go in reverse. We can't go forward. We're just stuck in this situation. And the longer it goes on, the deeper our tires are getting sunk into the track. And the deeper we're getting into this situation where we just can't get out of. And the only way to get out of that situation is to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and to move on, jump on a different track and see if we can head forward. Hell, we might hit some, well, no doubt we'll hit speed bumps, roadblocks on that one as well. But the fact of the matter is that we've seen now at this point that we can't go any further with Solskjaer. And it's frustrating beyond belief, and bewildered is the word that's being used by journalists. And it is a bewildering situation. What are United doing, man? What are we doing? Deep, you left a comment there, buddy, but I can't see that. Chib, you're saying Jose's been the best manager we have ever had. I mean, that's just a downright lie, isn't it? My God. Jonathan, they will still take huge dividends anyway. We make so much, and we'll just spend less in transfer markets. Look, the Glazers, I hate the Glazers. I hate the Glazers, but we spent this summer. We spent on Varane, we spent on Sancho, and we spent on Ronaldo. We didn't sign the player that I thought we all needed, and that was a defensive midfielder. But I would say that probably comes down to the coaching more than anything, because we had the money there. They just decided to spend it on a player that they have not used. Odd. Very, very odd. Abby, you're saying, what are you saying here? Can't agree more. Let me see what you're saying then. Ollie said at the club will never learn, a club with no plan, no direction, no ambition. That's a recent tweet by Aditya Reds. Good old Aditya. I love that guy. Love his videos too. Maybe it's a situation where we all know what we need to do. At this point, there is no real justification at all for keeping Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the job. And the only reason that he's in that job is because of the lack of planning and the lack of alternatives that the club can see. But at the same time, we've all had a discussion about Ralf Rangnick in that video yesterday. He's a man who is like 62, 63. He's gone through his entire career. He's managed like 6 or 7 Bundesliga clubs. He's been a global sports director. He's been a sporting director. He's been a managing director. He's been at both levels of the football club. And he would be a perfect solution to come in with a real vision and a real philosophy. Basically like a massive upgrade on John Murtough in terms of his footballing experience. And also he's a top-level coach as well. Other coaches like Jurgen Klopp and Tuchel, they've all taken part of the Rangnick game and taken it into theirs. So I see a lot of good positives with Rangnick. And obviously there's other names that I'm going to be, I'll probably do a video tomorrow maybe, taking a look at the other names on that shortlist, because it's not just him. We're going to have to talk about Zidane. We're going to have to talk about any other managers who are on that shortlist. Brendan Rodgers. I'm not really sure a fan about that. But yeah, but Chris, you're saying he is too clever for them. And yeah, it's a fear that a lot of United fans have, that someone like Ralf Rangnick is somebody who would just clash with the ball because he would be far too modern a thinker, that it would jar with the, as I said, egotistical nature of Manchester United's board structure that just wants to retain power. Manchester United's board almost looks like the Russian government, like with Vladimir Putin up there, the guy who's infallible, who cannot be voted out. No matter how bad it looks, he still gets voted back in. And he's there in the Winter Palace. And that's what the Woodward and the Glazers look like. Manchester United are looking more like a Russian authoritarian regime right now than any sort of democracy. Because the democracy it would be obvious what the decision would be here. And that will be to relieve Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And just let us fans reminisce. Let us go back and speak about the good things that he has done. And then at the same time, speak about the excitement of what could come next, about taking this squad forward, a squad which has got Bruno, which has got Ronaldo, which has got Rashford, which has got Greenwood, which has got Pogba. Mate, this squad is capable, absolutely capable, but the manager is not. The squad is more capable than the manager is able to take it, if you know what I mean. I said it all wrong, but you know what I mean. Jason, there's no passion, no desire, no willingness to die for the shirt. Even if your manager is shit, you should be dying to wear the jersey and giving everything you give for the fans. Jason, I do not disagree with that. But I also, at the same time, don't want to throw players under the bus at this particular moment in time, because I think their moods and attitudes are reflective of the situation that is enveloping the club. And I think that always happens. When players are on form and the club's on form, everyone's like, up, chip, everyone's chipper. And everyone's better. And when a club is down and down and down, the players sort of start to reflect that. And it's very hard for them to stand out against that. Let me go here. Oh, Rory's coming out here defending Putin. I'm not going to be coming here defending Putin anytime soon. Jeez. Jonathan, you don't need to look as far as Russia for your analogy. We've got Boris here. Yeah, corrupt and serial liar. Exactly that. Somehow the Tories are going to probably end up with more votes after the absolute shambolic handling of the pandemic inside the UK, but this is a football channel. Let's not get into politics. Deep, you're saying Ollie is a good transitional manager, but in 3 years, Ollie doesn't have a long-term identity. All I see is Ollie wanting his team to be industrious and attack with fluidity, but there's no tactical setup. Deep, I'm not going to disagree with you there. You're absolutely spot on, and I know you're spot on, and everybody knows you're spot on, and everyone knows that's the problem with Solskjaer. As a transitional manager, to take us from where we were as a football club behind the scenes and the fractured structure that still exists, of course, but he's reestablished. He's got rid of a mentality and a culture at the club that just was toxic and was taking the club in the wrong direction. And getting rid of Marouane Fellaini and getting rid of Alexis Sanchez and getting rid of certain players and replacing them with certain players, I think overall the transfers and the structure has been improved quite significantly. But it's reached the point now where you've built a squad where that mentality has completely not completely switched. It's gone further forward, and they're like, okay, yeah, we should be competing now. And then they haven't got the manager then at that point who is capable of elevating that mindset, of making the players believe in themselves enough that we can do it. Like the game against Newcastle, that wasn't really down to, no offense to Solskjaer, but it wasn't really down to him. It was down to the fact that the club was on a wave of emotion that day. Absolutely incredible atmosphere with the 4-1 against Newcastle, and it only came alive when they equalised, right? When it was 1-1, and then we just turned the screw in the second half. It's so frustrating to watch, man. It's painful to watch. Genuinely painful. That's the way I would describe it personally. I'm finding this whole thing quite bewildering. That's the word that's been used in the press, and quite painful. But let's go up here and let's see what you're saying. As I said, if you're new here, welcome to United People's TV. Please consider subscribing. It's free. I'd love to have you on board. And I'll say it one more time. Here on United People's TV, it's my way of giving back to the community that we're building here every single week between now and Christmas. I'm giving one of these away. I've already given one away to Luke Hayes on Facebook. Luke, I'm going to be sending yours out this week, buddy. Don't worry about that. If you'd like to be in the chance of that, just hit the join button, become a member. It's your way of supporting the channel. And if you're on Facebook, hit the support now button. It's your way of supporting the channel too. And both of you get access to the private WhatsApp group. There's a link in the private supporters group on Facebook, and there's a link in the community tab for members only. And you get your comments read out as a priority. Hey, it's a good community we're building here, and I want to make it as big as possible. But I'm going to head down to the comments here for the last few minutes. I'm going to read a few of your opinions out before we wrap up the show. So keep firing your opinions in the comments, whether that's about Rodgers, whether that's about Zidane, Rangnick, the Glazers, anything you're feeling and frustrated about, you let me know in the comments and I'll read them out. Vikram, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you this morning. Super chat from you, so I'll read that out. I still can't believe why the management is still thinking about Ollie. Agreed, he is a legend at Manchester United, but now is the time to react. We have the world-class players, but we need a direction. Ollie must go. And Vikram, this is where I think Man United aren't thinking about Solskjaer. I think the word inside that board is, all right, Ollie's not good enough, is he? But they're refusing to accept sacking him because it will make them look bad. I'm telling you, they're looking at this in a very different direction than what Manchester United are doing. And that's the issue, because it's obvious now. It is so painfully obvious. There's not really any justification for keeping Solskjaer in terms of he could turn it around. Oh, we're seeing elements here. What if this improved? It's now not a case where we can talk about anything to do with tactics and anything to do with players to turn this situation around at Manchester United. It's far bigger than that, and it's far deeper than that. And that's the issue. That really is the issue that we've got with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And that's why it's reached that point now. That's reached that point now where it's too far. And Anthony, nice to see you there, buddy, saying, catching a stream after a long time. Where's the old studio? The old studio's gone. Look at that. What do you think about the setup now? I finally completed the studio. Look, I'm going to get a nice new piece of art here. I'm going to be giving this away. I forgot about that, actually. Sorry. We've got the 210K subscriber giveaway. Going to give that away. That one there. Right there, I think. Why not? It'll be cool. I'm going to give that away. What am I going to give away? I think I'm giving that away as well. Woohoo! So make sure you subscribe. As I said, giveaways. I like doing giveaways. It's my way of, as I said, giving back to the channel that you're helping build. Matt saying, thank you for everything you do, buddy. Nice to see you there, Matt. Good morning to you. Sack Ollie today and hire Ollie tomorrow as an interim manager until the end of the season, says Chris. Hey, well, you're probably not wrong. That's the sort of mad thing that United would do. Maybe we'll just bring David Moyes back in. Oh, geez. Simon, you're saying, Sam, it's down to coaching. Same coaches that were here before Jose, gone downhill since Rui left. Yeah, Simon, you're not wrong there. Look, Solskjaer brought through Kieran McKenna and Michael Carrick, who were both brought into the team under Mourinho. And yeah, Rui Faria left as assistant, and that's when Kieran McKenna came through. And Kieran McKenna, one thing I did say about Kieran McKenna last week, I said, all the stories I'm reading about Kieran McKenna are that he's a very, very astute coach. And he does a lot right. Just don't think right now he's the right manager, right coach there for Manchester United. I'm not saying that he's a bad coach, right? I don't want to try and do some character assassination with Kieran McKenna, but it's just not working out for him at Manchester United in any way, shape, or form. We've got Ruve watching, first time catching the stream live out in South Dakota. Big up to you, my friend. I hope it is nice and dark there at 3:30 in the morning. Of course, it's nice and dark there. It was a terrible thing. The sharp jersey reminds me of the olden days when we used to beat teams for fun. Hey, exactly that. That's why it's up there, just to make us all sad and reminisce. And it's also got the gnome up there. That's Brunomio. Where's the finger going? There. That's the first mascot. If anybody, again, I did this as a way to sort of make it even more interactive here. If you want to send anything to be part of this set, there's a shelf up there that's going to be space for someone to send stuff in. There's a shelf behind there. There's a shelf on top. And it's your way of sending stuff into the PO box address up there. You can send me whatever you want. I'll open them live on Friday in the interactive stream. It's your way of, again, coming a little bit closer to the community. It's good. It's cool. I'm enjoying it. And I'm liking the community we're building, but I'm not liking the football that we're seeing in any way, shape, or form. I want change to happen. We all want change to happen. I've done my videos on Ralf Rangnick yesterday. I'm going to do another one on Ralf Rangnick's actual football today. What style could it be if it happened? Because while we might not be hearing anything right now from Manchester United in terms of change actually happening, it doesn't mean that it won't happen. And trust me, things can change quickly. As I said, it was last Monday where we went into the start of the day and then Man United were doing nothing. All of a sudden, a couple of hours later, Richard Arnold cancelled all his meetings. That same thing could happen. Will Ollie get sacked today or tomorrow, in my opinion, says J Lings fam. My opinion is no. I don't think he will. But my hope is that he will. And I want Manchester United to prove me wrong. I want the club to act and act decisively. And this is the thing that's really, really killing me, Alex. It's killing me. It is gut-wrenching. I don't want to be the dude coming on here shouting for Solskjaer's head. I do not want to be that guy. But I can't not do it, right? Because it's completely the right decision for Manchester United as a football club to make that decision. It's gut-wrenching and it's hurting me. And I don't want to do it, but we need to do it. And that's what I'm saying. The quicker this decision happens, the quicker we can now then look back and reminisce on the good things that Solskjaer did, because I think it's a very easy conversation to have there. And it's hurting me. It's really, really hurting me. But it's bewildering. It's confusing. But as we can see from a quick wrap up here, I'm not going to do a full one here. I'm just going to look at one article. David Ornstein summing up everything here, saying the Solskjaer's future is in Joel Glazer's hands. But as it stands, there remains no indication from the club hierarchy that a change is imminent. And as things stand, he will be in charge against Watford. I think that situation could very much change this week. That's what my gut is telling me. It's only my gut. It's only my opinion. But it's what it's telling me. Let's see what happens over the course of the day. If anything breaks, you know where to come. United People's TV for actual interactive and intellectual conversation. We can have a conversation. Thank you all very much here. Oh, apart from Andrew, feeling like I'm full of negativity. Mate, I am full of negativity right now, Andrew. And I'm not really normally. If anybody catches me, I'm a positive person. I love taking the positive angles. Right now, all I'm seeing is a manager drowning. I'm seeing a club that's not helping him, not sacking him. Because the only way you can help Solskjaer now is to sack him and replace him and let us move forward without Solskjaer, and let us just look at the good stuff that Solskjaer has done. It's that situation. Because tactics and formations and players changing, that's not going to take United forward anymore. It's past that point of no return. But look, as it stands, there's no movement from the club. Let's see if anything changes across the course of this day on a Monday. I hope it will. If it does, you know where to come on United People's TV. Thank you all very much for joining in. It's been a very, very busy stream today. Plenty of new members. You've all entered the draw for the Ronaldo shirt. Good luck to you. I'll announce the winner on Friday. Hey, it's going to be a bit like it's like last week, 2 weeks ago. That week was crazy. This is going to be another busy, crazy week. And I hope for the life of me that it ends with Manchester United calling time on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, letting him get the respect that he deserves and not this toxic environment. And then we can move forward as a club, because right now we are goddamn stuck in the mud. And Joel Glazer and Ed Woodward are at the wheel, not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.